Welcome to episode number 2 of Spoon Fed Truth. My name is Vicky. This is a podcast about life, disability, caregiving, and everything in between. I am joined by my very handsome but very sleepy husband, Paul, and my co-hosts, Emma and Damien.
Hi.
Hi.
How are you guys today?
I'm good.
That's
What about you?
Pretty good, well fed, so I'm happy to be here.
Well fed. Well, that's a good start. So today's episode, I thought we might talk a little bit around identity. So grieving identity, especially in disability, is such a huge topic.
Yeah, that's right.
So we've kind of formulated some questions to ask each other. And I'm going to start by asking you guys, because I did all the talking last time, if you remember. Okay, I just wanted to start with how did you guys feel when you started working with Paul? Like, what were your impressions of him? And both of you can answer.
Okay. I guess I'll go first. So for me, I had already worked in the industry before starting on Paul's team. I had worked in a complex group home setting. So I already had clients that were nonverbal and were unable to move. So for me, it was, I guess, quite normal. It was just more, I didn't have like two people on shift.
Oh, like looking after.
Yes,
like
yeah.
2 people for 1 client.
Yes, yeah. So I was always by myself with 3 clients in a group home complex.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
That
it
would have been
was hard.
challenging.
Yes,
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess just around that. And
So I guess working with Paul when you first started, it wasn't as daunting to you as it might be for someone who hasn't worked in the industry.
definitely. That's right. Yeah, and like Paul is peg fed, so I've done peg feeding before, and I guess peg feeding can be quite daunting for others.
Yeah. It looks more complicated than it actually is, but I guess once you get used to it, it's quite okay.
Yeah. So yeah, for me it was, I guess, okay. All right. Yeah. What about you, Damien?
Yeah, interestingly enough, I probably had like the opposite experience of you because first time I went on Paul's program, that's actually the first time I ever set foot in the industry. So he was my first experience with any kind of disability care, which I think, was a really good way for me to introduce myself into the industry because there wasn't too much shock factor at all. Like I've worked with a range of different clients and some including clients that have behaviors and things. And sometimes the challenges that come with that, I feel like if you're new to the industry, I feel like that would be a lot more challenging for somebody to grasp than, someone like Paul who's high needs. Obviously, there's a lot of things you have to learn about his care, but in a way, just because of the environment that's here and also his type of care, there's a lot of things that you wouldn't have to deal with like you would if somebody had behaviors and things like that. So but yeah, it was a good experience because it wasn't too challenging, and it, like, from the beginning it taught me a lot about myself, but also just about life in general.
What would you say was the hardest thing to grasp working with Paul?
Hardest thing to grasp.
Like, did you find any particular part of his care or routine really hard to get your head around, or was it all pretty?
Not necessarily. I think because I was a fresh kid on the block, I was like willing to learn from anyone, and I didn't have any say as to, what I think should happen in any situation. So I just kind of trusted that the people who were training me knew what they were talking about. Yeah. So just whatever they said, I'm like, yep, I'll do that. But yeah, definitely with some of the challenges, I think we're going to touch on that a little bit later. So I can probably leave that for an answer later. But the hardest thing would not necessarily come from the program, but it's just like recalibrating your way of viewing relationships, because when you're so used to dealing with, you know, able-bodied people, there's a certain expectation of how you would interact with someone when you do.
Yes.
But when you're interacting with people with disabilities, there's a whole range of different things that can come into play that you wouldn't necessarily get with somebody who's able-bodied, or somebody who hasn't had like a traumatic brain injury or something like that.
Or someone who can actually talk back
Yeah,
to you.
yeah. So there's
Because
just
that's a challenge in itself.
that's right,
Yeah.
that's right. And like, I remember even when I first came on, I didn't know what to expect. The only thing I had in my head was I came into this job because it just suited my temperament,
Mm-hmm.
and I knew that when I come into the role, it's in some way gonna enable me to help people.
Mm-hmm.
So that was all I had in my head. I had a bunch of other personal things going on in my life as well at the same time. So to me, it was like, I wasn't freaking out, but I was like, I know this is gonna be a lot of sensory information that I'm probably gonna have to try and work through.
Did you
But
ever
like,
feel like overwhelmed by what you were learning?
not necessarily. Like I think that Emma and I think George, was it?
Mm.
Well, Emma, George, and Natasha were all kind of there training me, so
Mm-hmm.
I didn't really feel overwhelmed per se, but I just remember, like, when I first met Paul, in my head, I didn't know what to expect, but I was just kind of like, all right, like let's just try and build rapport with the client, and see how this goes, and not be too. I don't even know what I was thinking. I was just trying to be like, whatever happens, I'm just gonna try and be nice and do my job.
Yeah.
And then when I saw Paul, he was laying in his bed, and like, oh yeah, this is Paul, and he was kind of half asleep, half awake at the time. But I walked in, and then like they introduced me to him, and then I'm like, hi Paul, and then he just kind of like turned his head away. And I remember at that time, I'm like, oh, this guy hates me already, like. But then like, yeah, it's one of those things. You have to be in the industry and be around people with different type of elements to see that. It's not the same as how you would interact with like an able-bodied person, or somebody who hasn't had things like that happen to them, or born with things that just mentally they just have a different experience than you're having. So it was new for me to kind of learn how to get to know someone when they have different challenges in their life.
It's a skill in itself to be
Yeah.
able to try and communicate with someone who can't really talk back, and then you've got to learn how to communicate with him. So yeah, I guess it presents there's challenges within challenges of
Yeah.
meeting your new client and getting to know them.
Yeah, I think a lot of what happens in the beginning is it's just exposure therapy. Like you just have to keep getting exposed to it,
Yes.
and then you kind of learn your way around how people are, and their personality, and how to deal with people depending on what kind of things that they're dealing with. But yeah.
Yeah. The part about exposure therapy, I think we'll probably dive into that in another episode, particularly because that's something that comes up quite often for people who are new, entering anything to do with disability, and it comes down to, people have this fear of encountering a disabled person. You don't know how to act around them. So yeah, we'll touch on that. We'll talk more about that in another episode, because I think that's quite a
Actually, we can do that. I was just about to say that that's probably a lot of the reason why people find it hard to interact with people who may be going to something or have a disability, because they just don't know.
yes.
Like,
yeah.
yeah,
So-
it's less of like I don't want to, and it's more of like I don't understand this. Yeah, so it's
exactly
like,
what it is.
I think it'd be probably good to talk about, life before the accident, in terms of maybe how life was for you and who you were as a person.
Who was I as a person? Okay, well, let's see. Paul and I. Okay, so I met Paul when I was 17. We got married. We had kids fairly quickly. We both worked full time, and you know, when you're two full time parents, going to work, coming home, making dinner, you know, things can get a little bit monotonous in that way. We still, you know, found ways to have fun, and Paul knew like all the places to take me, where to go, having fun, you know, taking the kids out and about and things like that. Who was I as a person? A mum, a wife. I worked in aged care. I enjoyed my job for the most part. It was, I had worked in residential care for a good 10 years. And then I went into community care, and I was in management, so it was challenging. And you know, when you have a challenging job where you know you have to coordinate so many things, and then you come home and you got to cook dinner and bath the kids, and Paul often didn't come home from work till, you know, late. So yeah, life was a little bit challenging. I had, and even at the time, I didn't have a lot of friends, so it was difficult because I relied on my mum a lot to help with the kids. We were saving up to buy a house, but you know what it's like when you're trying to save money, and then you know you need new tires, and you know there's like $600-800, and
Yeah.
something always comes up. So it was, I guess in a way I could say we were just like a typical family, just, you know, working and trying to make ends meet and do all
Yeah.
that kind of thing. So
Just off the back of that, like, was there, like, can you take yourself back to maybe what your mindset was at the time? Like, obviously, most people, I mean, if you're a pretty sensible person, you have some sort of idea about what you want for the future. Like, you have plans for, you know, whether it be having kids and buying a house or what, you know, obviously people have their own plans. So was there any kind of, you know, plans or things you had in place that, like, before the accident kind of made sense, but then at the time of the accident kind of made things shift
yeah,
around a lot?
actually, Paul and I had talked about planning a holiday. So I had already applied for leave for 2 weeks, and Paul had applied for leave for 2 weeks, and getting to like trying to marry up our leave times was very tricky, because you kind of got to work around. I had to work around my colleagues, because we couldn't all take time off at the same time and applying for leave and all of that, and same with Paul. So we had agreed that he would take 1 week off, and 2 weeks off, and then the weekend in between we were going to go away. So we were looking at places down the coast where we could go with the kids, because we hadn't ever been on a holiday together. And sadly, to this day, we still haven't had a holiday together as a family, because it was shortly after that Paul had his accident. So yeah, annual leave went out the window, and I had to take whatever leave I had. Luckily, I had plenty of it to take when he had his accident, so that worked out well for me. Yeah. So it was it was tricky, because you know we were saving up to buy a house,
Yeah.
but at the same time, you know, we were renting. It was not financially, we weren't in a position where we could just pack up and go on holiday somewhere, but it was ideal. So what we we used to do is when we could, we would take the kids to the beach, just us as a family, or because, you know, he was so busy all the time. I won't get into the issues that I had with the motorbike because I resented that motorbike so much. I used to say to him, you should have married your motorbike. I feel like he spent a lot of time, once the motorbike came into our lives, he spent a lot of time always tinkering with that damn bike, and it used to piss me off because it's like, oh, you know, why don't we do something together? Oh, I can't. I've got to change the sprockets or the chains or whatever the hell you want to call it. And I'm like, oh, far out. Oh, I've got to drain the oil. Or I've got to change this or something. It was always something with the bike, and it's like, oh my God, we have no life outside of your bike.
Really, he's just sitting by the bike, like on his phone.
Well, you know what? He's
just relaxing.
So his dad was also an avid motorbike rider. So Paul was taught a lot about. His dad taught him, like, you have to, if you're going to ride a bike, you have to know how to fix it, because if you break down, you can't just ring NRMA and someone comes and picks you up and fixes your bike for you. It doesn't work like that. So Paul spent a lot of time. I remember he had this huge A4, really thick folder where he printed out the manual for his bike, and
Really?
he just I'm sure it's still somewhere in a box. I haven't burnt it yet, but it's coming.
Days are numbered.
Well, when I go into the garage and I see any of his motorbike stuff that I haven't thrown out, I look at it and it's like, I still hold that resentment towards the bike. It's not the bike's fault, but it's just how I feel, because I hated the bike beforehand and I hate it even more now. So yeah,
That's fair enough.
All right.
Oh, we probably should have mentioned. Yeah, so Paul is off. He's a little bit out of frame at the moment, just because he's
snoring his head off.
And it's
there.
probably
Over
gonna
there.
get picked up on the mic. So just for for the listening experience, but also just
It's good meditation music.
I don't know about that, but
unless you're into like snoring ASMR, then
he's got
We
you
can
covered.
hook you up.
All right, so my turn to ask you guys a question.
Okay.
Maybe I'll ask Emma. So even though Paul doesn't speak, do you feel like you've built a relationship with him? How do you communicate with him? Like, how do you connect with him?
Okay. So, I guess so. I've worked with Paul for 7 years. So I'm Paul's, one of Paul's longest carers.
Yep. You're a lifer.
Yeah. Part of the furniture at this point.
You really are, yes.
We live here more than at my own house, but no. So yeah, I've worked with Paul for a long time. So the best form of communication that we use to communicate with Paul is by eye blinks. So Paul will blink twice for yes, one blink for no. We do
or no blinks.
Or no blinks.
Sometimes no blinks. You take that
It's
as
like
a no.
Hell no situation.
Well, what was? Didn't we have a hell yes?
We had a hell yes. It's 3 blinks.
3 blinks is a hell yes.
Yeah.
That's
So
right.
depending on the questions.
Yeah.
But yeah, we also use sounds on the odd occasion. We're trying to sort of practice, I would say, to use them more often.
Yep.
But yeah, so the way I communicate with Paul is I will ask Paul questions and Paul will answer yes or no by blinking. Okay, so the way that I connect with Paul is I love cars, Paul loves cars, I should say. So we've both come from that sort of background. Why are you laughing at me?
Paul loves.
I'm so shit at
I love
this.
cars.
I can't do it. I can't do
Oh my
it.
God, this is going to be a 3-hour podcast.
It is pretty much. We've got an hour. Okay, let's go again.
Damien's editing this, by the way. So yeah.
He's gonna leave this bit in just to me. Okay. Anyway, so I guess I love cars. Paul loves cars. So we both have the same sort of interests. So most of my questions or chats with Paul is about cars or anything like fast related, because I know Paul likes it.
And I know you sometimes hold him prisoner by telling him all your stories and
Yes,
stuff.
yeah. Paul is my human diary. He knows all my secrets. Not that I have any.
So he can't even tell anyone. So he really is like a human diary.
Yes,
isn't he?
he's the
Yeah.
best listener, best secret keeper. Yeah, so hopefully he doesn't tell anyone when Paul is able to speak, because maybe I'll be in a bit of trouble. But no,
You
yeah.
and everyone else on the
Yeah,
team.
that's right. But I guess, yeah, we've built that relationship and we have the trust within each other, I guess, or more trust in him, I guess.
When you talk to him, you can tell that he's interested in what you're
Yes,
saying?
yeah. So Paul pays a lot of attention, like looks at you when you are speaking. So Paul can answer accordingly. So yes or no. I do ask Paul for life advice and just advice in general, and he does help me.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I know that people who are not used to Paul or when they're getting to know Paul, you really do have to hone in on that skill to modify your questions to
Yeah.
yes and no, because he can answer you if you speak clearly.
Yeah.
Then he is able to answer you, but he can't elaborate. So I noticed a lot of times new staff,
Yeah.
new workers, when they come in, they might say, "Oh, how are you, Paul?" Okay, I don't know what you think Paul's gonna say.
Yeah.
But usually Paul is fairly polite, and he'll just blink twice to show that I'm okay, I'm good.
Yes.
you
Yeah,
know,
that's right.
Thanks for asking. But just to touch on that, I have also, Paul and I agreed that if I say I love you, I want 3 blinks back to say I love you too.
That's right.
But that's the only time he will ever elaborate on
I love
on
it.
things. But sometimes he'll also, when I'm introducing him to someone that he's never met before, and I'll say, this is Paul, and they say, hi, Paul, and he'll blink twice, like an acknowledgement of hello.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah.
Exactly. So like, and I talk to Paul just like he's like a normal person, because
Yeah.
Paul is a normal person.
That's right.
And
right.
that's really the key to it. It's just
Yeah.
like talking to anyone.
Which
yeah.
will be another episode.
Yeah.
About that. About how people with disability get treated by others.
Yes.
So
yeah.
that's we'll dive into that another
Yeah.
time.
Stay tuned. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, Damien, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Has caring for Paul changed you in any way, like personally or professionally? How have you changed as a person?
Yeah, I would definitely say so. Around the time that I met Paul, like I said, I didn't have any experience in the disability sector, but it is a very interesting dynamic in terms of having a relationship with someone who can't necessarily voice their opinion, can't tell you how they're feeling, can't really, conversate on that level. But what changed me? I would say just my general perspective on life. I think before that, I had a very black and white way of looking at things.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is that way because of that, and that is that way because of this. And it wasn't until I got into this industry that I kind of was able to see that, like, life isn't straightforward sometimes. Like, and with traumatic brain injury, because of in terms of levels of severity, there's so many different ways that it can affect you. It's very hard to just have a good judgment call on something. Like, sometimes I've worked with other clients before, and they may be producing some sort of behavior, and your initial reaction is, when you see a behavior, it says something about their character.
Mm-hmm.
But when you add something like traumatic brain injury to the equation, it's kind of hard to get a good sense of how to make a good judgment call. You really can't.
Yep.
So it kind of challenges your perspective on life in general, because it's like some things you will never understand, you know. And
It's
as
true.
much as science and medical advancements have gotten to a stage where like we can pretty much cure or at least manage a lot of things that we deal with, there's still a lot of gray areas. And being in this industry, it shows you a lot of gray. And seeing a lot of gray, you realize that actually it extends to all of life. Like, yes, we have a good understanding about a lot of things in nature and life, but for the most part, like we barely understand anything, you know. Um, and I think it's just human pride, really, that we think that we know the ins and outs of how life works in general. Like, we have a very small pool of understanding about the complexity of life, and this industry has taught me like it's not straightforward.
No, that's
Like,
for
there's just
sure.
a
Yes.
lot of gray, and you know, it's actually something in my life personally that has like drawn me back to faith in general. But
Yep.
yeah, it's just taught me a lot of things just about in life in general. So, and just like compassion as well. Like, um, even my concept of compassion was challenged, because when I came into the industry, my idea was like, okay, I'm gonna come in, I'm gonna help people, it's gonna feel nice, I'm gonna feel good, I'm contributing to society in a way that matters.
Yeah.
But how do you deal with it when you're trying to look after someone and they're just abusing you? Like, they're just
Yeah,
verbally
yeah.
abusing you, sometimes even physically abusing you, and this person is interacting with you as if they hate you, but you're helping them.
Yeah.
How do you deal with that? You know, and it's like,
yeah, it's hard to wrap your head around it.
Yeah.
But often they not necessarily may know that they're doing that. But I guess from a professional perspective, they still need the care, because
Yeah.
that aggressive behavior is actually really common with brain injury, as well as other things, because there's frustration and
A lot
helplessness
of
and you know all
just
those
very complex
negative
situation.
all those negative feelings. You're trying to express them somehow, and it's not coming out the way it should.
And sometimes it's just involuntary. It's not
That's
even
right.
that like this person hates you. It's like they just can't help it, you know.
Yes.
So it's like one of those things where like that's why I'm saying it challenged my view of compassion, because like beforehand, I think the reason I gravitated towards compassion, really, if I looked at it, is because when I do something good for someone, I feel good about myself.
Yes.
And
yes.
it feels even better when somebody recognizes you for that. But when none of that is on the table and you're just doing something to help someone and you're getting the opposite of recognition,
Yep.
which is like just getting abused,
Yeah.
that it takes another level of compassion and maturity in general, you know. Like,
Yes.
it's yeah.
Yeah, look, I had a client when I was working in community care. I had a client who was quite aggressive towards me, towards everyone in general, but he was an much older gentleman, and you know he had a lot of limitations, physical limitations, and so he was very demanding of me. And if I had a day off and they had to send a replacement care worker to his house, they would get blasted.
Yeah.
And it was so frustrating. And I kept telling myself, I am the professional, keep it together, you cannot yell back at him, he's just a cranky old man. And I would keep telling myself that. And it's hard when I know he can't help it. You know, he's just gotten used to being that type of person. And you know, as a professional, it's hard to remain professional sometimes. You know, I so many times. Exactly, you are still human at the end of the day. So it was reminding myself that I'm the professional. I've just got to get my work done, do the job and go home. But it's sometimes hard because you do take it home with you and think about it. And, you know, I used to think, how could I have done things better? How can I not let the same thing happen again tomorrow? So it's constantly thinking about it and how, you know, reevaluating your own behavior in that sense. But I just want to go back. You know, I've told you this before, Damien. When you started with Paul, I saw a potential in you. So I'm not actually sure exactly what that potential was, but there was something maybe I saw. I think it's that you were very professional in the way you conducted yourself. But it was also, I think I saw that you had that empathy, which is a quality that I hold in very high value in a support worker. But there was like, you know how for afternoon shift, so afternoons generally is when Paul is the most awake and alert and active. And so because we need to use that time wisely to really pump out as many therapies as we can. And so to make therapy fun, especially in with brain injury, because the only way that therapy works for brain injury is repetitiveness. But as we know, repetitiveness,
Double-edged sword.
it's boring as batshit to do the same thing over and over again. But that's what creates the neuro pathways, so that you can regain some of your abilities back that, you know, you had lost due to the injury. And so the type of person that, I don't know that I knew it at the time, but I think it was always in the back of my mind, I need someone who's got a bit of creativity, you know, that creative flair naturally in their personality, because I think that type of person that can think outside the box, because anyone can just sit there with speech therapy and do
Read
the
off
bare
a book.
minimum, you know, just read it and monotone voice. And there's a lot of people in this industry that I've come across who are, what do I call them? Task-oriented people.
Yes.
And I need, which is great for certain components of care, especially like the nursing side and the manual handling side, because there's a lot of that.
That's all the and that's healthcare in general. It's like that's
see it
that's
a
the
lot in
typical
hospital.
expectation
Yeah.
is like you just do what needs to happen clinically, and then
Yes.
that's what the care is.
Yeah, just do the job. That's the bare minimum, and move on. Whereas the afternoon shift here, especially with therapies, it's important that you kind of make it fun. That's why I always say when I do meet and greets with new staff, I'm like, you know, it's a prerequisite to have a good sense of humor here. And because I saw that creativity in you, I saw a hint of it. I'm like, okay, we just need to get Damien a little bit more out of his shell to really tap into that. And I think the more we got to know you and the more you got comfortable in your role, that's when we sort of started to see that coming out. And I think because I like to think you kind of own afternoon shift now because you do it so much. You have made that part of Paul's care really good for him. Even though he had that, he had it with other staff, but you can't just always rely on that one person to make it fun. That's right. Because you know, if that person calls in sick or you know needs to go on holidays, God forbid that any of you should go on leave, you need someone who will be able to step into the role that understands what that means for Paul to make the shift fun. Because, and I mean, I know we'll go into this more later, but even when you're having a good time on your shift, so you're always working with two people. So you're always working with a partner, and when there's good banter between you, and Paul's involved in that,
Yeah.
it's fun for him, and he's more likely to engage more and try harder because he's having fun as well. It's not just boring, just getting the job done and moving on.
That's
so
not the
yeah,
environment that we want.
Yeah.
that's right.
Well, thank you. Thank you for believing in me.
Well, okay. Okay, so we're going to ask another question. We've got a list of them, by the way.
Yeah.
I'm gonna cough while we wait.
Okay. So, Emma, maybe you can ask the next question.
Okay.
After you finish
Coughing.
coughing your lungs up.
I think I'm okay at the moment.
Oh, hang on. Just give me a second because if you're going to ask that question. Did you feel
Which
like you
one?
lost a part of yourself? Oh, no. What helped you begin to start entrusting Paul's care into other people's hands?
Do you want me to ask that?
the back end of what we just talked about.
Yeah, this
Okay.
one.
All right. So I'm going to ask you a question now, Vicky.
Yay.
You're in the hot seat. So what helped you when you began to start entrusting Paul's care into other people's hands?
Oh, that. Okay. I did not entrust anybody. That was quite challenging for me, I have to admit, because I had this notion in the early days when Paul was still in rehab, and we were just, the doctor had only just mentioned about, you know, Paul being looked after a team of care staff. And I remember saying to her, no, I'm going to look after Paul. I don't need anyone's help. I was, now when I look back on it, I was very delusional. But I thought, no one can look after him like I can. I don't want anyone touching him.
Yeah.
But when we started interviewing service providers, like disability service providers, I was with she was a senior OT in the rehab unit, and she had a list of, she had organised the interview times and everything over a couple of days, and we were just smashing them out. And I remember thinking, none of these people give a shit about Paul. They're just here to, you know, try and they give me their spiel. And this is, mind you, this is like service managers, operation managers, executive managers, coordinators, like all these people in management, and they would just sit there and tell me all about their service. And I did tell them all, my background is in management in aged care, so I have a pretty good idea of what is needed for Paul. But I just felt like, to most of them, I just felt like, oh, we're just a number. You're just giving me the usual spiel about, you know, what your service is about, the same old crap, except for one. There was one manager that stood out from the rest, and even the senior manager that was interviewing with me, and she had been through this process many times before Paul and I came along. But she, after we spoke to this lady, I can't even remember her name, Peter. This was the manager from the service. The first thing she said to me was, before I get into it about our service, can you tell me a little bit about Paul? And I was taken back, because I thought, hang on, no one ever asks. Not one person had asked about Paul.
Wow.
So I felt like, okay, this lady, she's really good.
Yeah.
She's really good.
She's
she
the
knows.
one.
And I gave her a bit of information about Paul. And it was, the process became so easy after that. She gave me her spiel. She said all the right things that I wanted to hear. Mind you, I remember one particular company a very well-known disability company. It was an executive manager and an operations manager. And while I was talking, one would get up and answer her mobile. She's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I have to take this," and she'd walk out, and then she'd come back in, and the other one is sitting there on her phone, checking emails or whatever, and that really pissed me off.
Yeah.
I was like, "You're meant to be a professional here,"
Yeah.
and so that irked me so badly.
Yeah, 100%.
It was like a big fat cross.
Yeah.
So to any service providers out there,
I think that's just honestly, I think that's just bad business in general. I think if you're someone, whatever you're doing, if you're looking to sell your services or provide care for someone, like if you're dealing with people, you got to treat them like they're people, you know?
Yeah.
exactly.
Like the worst,
Business, yeah.
exactly, like the worst thing you can do when you're, in front of somebody trying to give them care or trying to sell them something is to make them feel like you like you don't even respect them.
Yeah.
Like when you go to the doctors and they treat you like a number, I don't know about you guys, but for me, I'm like, I'm gonna find another doctor. Like,
Yeah.
I don't want to
Yeah.
come in and feel like I'm just a number to this guy, because at the end of the day, it's my health. Like it's like one of the most important things to me. But if you're gonna treat the thing that's most important to me like it's nothing, then it just shows me like you're not gonna be willing to go through not that you need to go through extra effort, but it's like, show me you have the respect to at least do what you need to do properly. Like if they're looking to provide care for you and Paul, which is something that's obviously very important for his health, like if they can't even respect you within that conversation of trying to take you on board, what makes you think like throughout that service that he's going to get that level of respect across the board if they couldn't even do it in that
It
one
always
moment?
starts from the top.
Yeah.
When it comes to these things, if you've as managers and even CEOs, if you need to be the leader.
Yeah.
That's the whole point. When higher management get it right, it bleeds through to the rest of
that's right.
of the staff. So it's very important, and it's something that look, it still bothers me now, even just thinking about it and reminiscing about that time, because I think if I didn't have that one lady, Peter, if you're out there listening, thank you.
Yeah. Shout out to you.
Yeah, she I have to commend her for it, because just her asking about Paul before she wanted to get into anything just showed me she cared.
Yeah.
She cared enough to maybe she had done this many times before, so she kind of knew how to scope the situation, and it put me in a very comfortable position where I was then able to open up a little bit more about what I'm looking for, both personally and professionally, my expectations of a company. Because in my head it was like, no, you're going to provide me with the help that I need in order to look after Paul. So it's not you're just a separate entity that's going to come in, swoop in and take over my role to look after him, because I was the one that was with Paul every single day that he was in hospital and rehab. So you're going to be helping me help him.
Yes, that's right.
So that's how I saw things.
Yeah.
Yeah. We might do one more question.
Okay.
So I'll ask Emma. I'll ask both of you.
Okay.
What part of this job is most rewarding to you?
Okay. Do you want to go first?
Sure.
I don't know.
Emma needs time to think.
I know what I want to say, but I don't know how to say it.
That's okay. What part is the most rewarding? I would say, obviously, when you can stick with the client and you're, executing his care plan and you're seeing any kind of progress, that is very rewarding.
Mm-hmm.
And over the years, Paul has put in a lot of effort to try and make some progress. So whenever I do see a little bit, it's always very encouraging.
because we probably should also mention that progress for brain injury is very, very slow. So we tend to celebrate the tiny, minute changes in Paul that probably a lot of people maybe take for granted. So the amount of times that people had said, oh, he's just can't wait for him just to wake up one day. And it's like, recovery doesn't work like that most of the time. It's very, 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 very slow.
Yeah.
So,
and probably non-linear as well, because like I said before, we think things are just black and white. Like a lot of in our own personal lives, when we have goals and stuff, we just expect like it's just going to be this gradual increase until we finally get to that point. But for Paul, it's probably ups and downs and lefts and rights, and like it's not as simple as just he's just going to progress.
It's 2 steps forward, 10 steps back.
Yeah, that's right.
With Paul's recovery. So we take a lot of nosedives in the opposite direction before it gets any better.
Especially when he gets sick and all those types of things that kind of get in the way of it.
A lot of setbacks. Yeah. Unfortunately, that's the nature of the beast.
Yeah.
What about you, Emma?
Oh wait, did I answer it?
I don't know. Did you?
No, I don't think I answered it. No.
Watching his progress.
Yeah, so watching his progress, but I was also going to say, besides that, I would probably say having an effect on the people also surrounding the client, I think is very rewarding. Because when I came into the industry, like I said, I didn't have much, didn't expect much, but just to help that client, and I was going to help that person, I would feel good about helping that person. But a lot of the times it's not only the client that's going through something, it's usually the people that are surrounding that person as well.
Yes.
Like it'd be silly to just think the client's going through something. Obviously the people that really care about that person will also be dealing with that situation too. So if you can have a positive effect on the environment around that client, that's also very rewarding too, because it is a measurable impact as well. If you can in some way add value, then it's like you're injecting something positive in that situation. That's always rewarding.
So, sorry, can I just elaborate? Do you think I've changed as a person since you've met me?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah?
For sure.
In a good way or a bad way?
Choose
your words carefully.
No, definitely in a good way. I think with you, you have a lot to do with. It's not just with Paul, but with people, like with the kids, with the people that are constantly in your house, with having to like constantly oversee Paul's program. Like just like with anything, like for anyone else who may be working on themselves and working on their life, it's very easy to put time in yourself when you have time for yourself. You know what I mean? Like I think Siraj the other day, he asked me, we were doing some things for Paul, and then he looked at me and he's like, he goes, how do you have time for the gym? I'm like, because I don't have kids. So it's just a matter of like, it's having time. It's what you prioritize and what you have time for. So I think for you, you've got so much going on, and for what you have to do with, you've grown a lot in character, more so in like self-awareness and your ability to make the situation around you still have a positive outcome. You know what I mean? Like a lot of people in the same predicament and that I've experienced, like they're just not the same. Like they're very downtrodden and like this is it, like, and kind of just resolved to essentially being depressed and like, okay, well, this is my life and there's nothing else to there's no greener pastures, you know. Whereas
Yeah.
I think with you, for the most part, even if things get difficult, sometimes you always find a way to bring yourself back and be like, look, there's still something to look forward to.
Yeah, after all the yelling and screaming and fetal position in the corner. Rocking back and
But
forth.
that's like,
Yeah, after all that, I'm good. I'm
yeah,
positive.
but that's, yeah, like I said, you're still human at the end of the day. And most people in your position would probably struggle to the same extent, if not more. So it's, yeah.
Yeah, look, I'm sure this is another topic that we could talk about in another episode, but it is tricky. I don't feel like I have. Hang on, I'll reword that. I do feel like I have changed as a person. I feel like my personality has changed. My core and my foundation of a person is still there. I think my faith has cemented that for me to be able to be strong and whatever life when life throws you lemons, I like to make various cocktails with it.
Yeah, that's right.
I think you have to see the positive in everything, because if you don't, I don't have time to be depressed.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm still a parent. Even though I'm not technically a single parent, I'm in the role of one. But it's not just that, my mum's getting older now, so I'm helping a lot with her. And I also feel like, how I say this house is a company within a company.
Yeah, that's right.
Because I'm often the HR manager,
Therapist,
and the therapist, and
to all of us.
yeah, it's tricky. And it does. I will admit, that it does get me down from time to time, especially when I have to have difficult conversations with people, because I try and be nice, and I keep using the words, I need my house to be harmonious.
Yeah.
And if you are going to not be a positive influence on the harmony in this house, you can't stay here.
Yeah.
I don't wish anyone ill, but I can't have toxicity in my home. It just, there's a reason why this program, Paul's program, works so well, is because of the type of people that we have here, and I look for particular people.
Yeah.
So we're going to finish that thought?
Go. Whatever you
No,
need to
I was
do.
just going to say, like, when you say you need your house to be harmonious, that like completely makes sense. I think for most people, like, they would say that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, most people are like, oh yeah, my home's my sanctuary.
And
but
my house is no different.
Exactly right. So it's like,
it's just a little bit more chaotic.
Yeah,
the
and
average
you just keep
household.
having strangers in your house. So you, of course, like you're gonna need your house to be harmonious.
Yeah. But the original question was, what did
you have for dinner? No.
God, I can't even remember.
Hamburgers. No.
No, it was what do you find rewarding?
Yes. Okay, so I always start off with okay. Anyway, what do I find most rewarding? I guess for me, it's this. I guess it's the same as what Damien said. Like we want our clients to succeed and we want them to achieve their goals. So even just trying to, I don't know how to say it. Hang on, I'm not good with this sort of stuff.
Take your time.
Hang on.
Take your time, girlfriend.
Yeah, I know, it's so hard.
Wait,
I want to say
let's
what I want
dot
to
point what
it's
you want
alright.
to say.
I think I'll be right.
Are you sure?
I'll try.
Okay.
Because it's pretty much the same, but right.
No, you're off to a good start. Okay.
Let's start again.
You love watching Paul succeed, even though it's minor.
Yes, that's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, so just elaborate on that. Just go.
Okay.
Do you have any examples?
Yeah,
like
just
say
Paul,
for
like
example.
that cane exercises and stuff.
No, use the knee bend.
Oh, knee bend. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So I guess what I find most rewarding about my job, and especially being on Paul's team, is the fact that I like to see my clients, and especially Paul, achieve their goals, or even if they're just they're minor little things. We take them quite seriously here, obviously.
Yeah,
so,
minor to the average person, but it's a big deal.
Yeah, massive deal for Paul. We celebrate them very well. So I guess like as an example would be like Paul's knee. So I've worked here for 7 years, as I said, and Paul's knee, we were told by the physiotherapist not to bend Paul's knee. We wanted to do scans and that sort of thing just to make sure that we weren't hurting Paul in any way. But she didn't really want to.
She was being cautious, not because Paul had bent his knees when he was in rehab and doing physio. He was doing knee bends a lot. He was even squatting on the tilt table.
Yeah.
And then his physiotherapist was replaced with someone else who was then super, super cautious about not putting Paul's limbs at risk. And then when we came home, it was a community physio who was then kind of putting the brakes on pushing Paul because she thought we were pushing him beyond his limits.
Yeah.
But if you remember, she didn't come for a long time. It was like months before we had seen the physio, and I thought, and at the time, Paul's legs, so Paul's wheelchair,
was straight out, like
his legs
extended.
were really, they were really extended, and we were trying to get his legs a little bit closer to his body, because you can imagine when you're going into a doctor's clinic or turning a corner, it makes it very tricky getting Paul out into the community and being able to access a lot of those narrow places, lifts,
just the aisles of the shopping centre.
And still to this day, there's a lot of shops that we can't get Paul into. So I really was pushing for his knees to get
to bend
so we could just naturally for them to sit closer to his body.
Yeah.
So I don't recommend doing this unless you know what you're doing, but I kind of overrid her recommendation, her direction not to do any knee bends, and I got you to start bending
as
knees.
a team we decided that why don't we just try it and see what happens. What's the worst that could happen, I guess. But whilst we were doing that, we were always checking in with Paul, obviously, to see like, are you in any pain? Is this hurting you?
Yes.
But Paul was all for it, and so we started to bend.
Yeah, and if you remember, we were at the spasticity clinic at the brain injury unit, and the physio there, he was actually, we talked to him about it, and he had a look at Paul's knees.
Yeah, he
and
was
I remember
all
he was
for
showing
it.
you,
Yes,
he was showing you like how to do it properly, so that minimizing any risk. And with success, I mean, you were the one who kind of led the team that way in that exercise. That I think it was a year and a half ago when he finally changed wheelchairs.
Yeah,
that he was able to get a chair that accommodated his legs being able to be closer to his body, and it makes a world of difference now with community access and being able to get out and about. Even in the car. The way Paul sits in the car now, there's he's got that too much space now.
Yes,
because his legs don't sit as far out as they do.
But even like a confidence boost for Paul, because it's hard when you're going out in public and your legs are extended outways, like
you take up a lot of room and everything. So that's actually a really good story, because that was something that has been quite successful. with the leg bends, and as I'm watching him now, I see him
Kicking.
flicking,
Yes.
kicking his legs up and down a bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a good story. But I think we will wrap that up for now.
Yes.
I might, we might just ask anyone if you have any questions about anything that you've heard us talk about, or if you would like to share your own story. We will put the link to our socials and our email in the description.
Yeah.
Please write in. We have gotten a few emails now, so we are going to be answering them slowly. And yeah, thank you for listening. If there's any topics you would like to talk about, feel free to drop us a line, and we'll definitely be open to having a chat about that. Thank you guys again for joining us.
Thank you.
We'll see you for the next episode of Spoon Fed Truth.
Bye.
Bye.